Okay there, good morning and welcome to Prog Monster. My name is Murph. I am the host of this show. This is a show dedicated to progressive rock and other forms of rock music. So we're back here on day number 25 of our series for the month of November, which is my favorite rock albums from 1979. So I put together this list of albums that I thought were my personal favorite albums for this list. It doesn't mean they're the definitive albums for the list or that they are the best albums that ever came out in 1979. It only means my opinion. So if you have a separate opinion, an opinion of albums that are different than mine, that's fine. You can put your list in the comments below if you wish, or you can make your comments about the album, or you can put your album for the day. Whatever you feel like doing, you can do that in the list below. So when I put this list together, I had about 80 albums that I had considered for this list. The only prerequisite for the list is that they had to be rock albums. I don't have any other genres, no crooning music, no jazz fusion, no pop maybe, but no modern music, none of that stuff. It's just basically rock stuff. So that was the only kind of prerequisite. I didn't limit it to just one album per band because, to be honest, very few bands put out more than one album at this point in time. Anyways, I think I only have one guy who's got a couple albums on this list. So I narrowed it down to the 30 that I liked the best, and I'm presenting them one day. Every day I'm presenting a new one. So today is day 25. I have a album that I will admit freely that I did not like when I first heard it. Yeah, there's a couple tracks on it I liked, but other than that, I thought it was a much overblown about nothing album. I didn't like the simplicity of the music part. I didn't like the whole negative feeling that I got from the album. And to be honest with you, this album put me off this band completely, and I had in my mind eliminated that band from any further listening to. And periodically they're such a large band that nobody could actually not hear stuff by them anywhere. So I had a friend who liked them and he played them, and he actually made a phone answering service using one of their songs, which I thought was kind of ingenious, the way he used it. But I never really followed them too closely. I did know some of their stuff, but I thought it was all just hokey pokey. I didn't care for it. And that was the state of mind that I had in 1979 at the age of 15. And that kind of mindset stayed with me for a few years. Unfortunately, I've changed to the point. This channel has forced me to reconsider stuff that I once thought was true, and I've changed my mind on stuff. And I've changed my mind on this album a bit, and it's become a little bit more than a bit lately. And I'm talking about this album. I forget. It's so bright that it's hard to get, so I have to come up really close. Pink Floyd's The Wall. This is not an album that people haven't heard of. If you're watching a music channel and you haven't heard of Pink Floyd The Wall, I would suggest that there's something wrong. There's just no way you can't have heard of this album. It's just indoctrinated in on the music we listen to. It's one of those albums like that. So Pink Floyd The Wall is a concept album, a concept of Roger Waters. He put this concept together, and he put this, for the most part, he was largely the construct of this album. I'm not a huge Roger Waters fan, but I do appreciate the genius of the album. And that's a word that I almost never use. You almost will never hear me use it because I think it's overused. We use it for people with talent. We use it, and I'm not going to get into a diatribe about this, but I just think it's an overused word. But in this case, maybe apropos. So anyways, the album Pink Floyd's The Wall. This, having said all that about it, my stance on it has changed, as has my stance on Pink Floyd. Pink Floyd, as you know, is one of the bands that I love the most now, and that's mostly because of Dark Side of the Moon bringing me back. But The Wall is not a bad album. Yes, it's got far too much music on it, I think. I look at the tracks here. So you've got 3 sides with 6 songs and then 1 side with 7 songs. So that's 29 songs. It's a double album. That's a lot. As many of you know, I'm not a huge... I don't know if I have an attention deficit disorder, because I can't listen to more than like 45 minutes is pushing it for me. And I'm thinking this is a lot longer than that. However, that aside, I've grown with this. There's enough really good stuff on this album that we have to kind of consider it a great album. It's only at the 25th spot. Probably will go up over time as I reinvestigate my prejudice against the album, I guess you might want to call it. But to be honest with you, it took me... I've had this kind of feeling about this album for most of my adult life. I dismissed it long ago and didn't want anything to do with it. So it's hard to change that stance overnight. So it's been a slow process. Some of the great tracks on this album, though, I will talk about. So this album was released November 30th, 1979. I think I may have already mentioned that. The first side of the album has Another Brick in the Wall Part 2, which was kind of the big hit on the album. Very kind of simple song and catchy at the same time, and thus that's why it was on the radio so prominently. The song I like best on the first side of the album, of course, is Mother. This is a song I've long liked by Pink Floyd. There's like 2 or 3 songs on this album I really like a lot, and this is one of them, Mother. The second side is probably, to me, the weakest side of the 4 sides. There isn't really anything in here that really captures me, and if they were going to reduce this to a 1 CD or 1 album side, this would be the side I would cut completely out. The next side of the album, or side 3, has Comfortably Numb on it, which is one of the other songs that I absolutely adore on this album. I think this is one of my favorite Floyd album songs. Definitely a song that resonates Pink Floyd. When I hear it, it's almost like a Pink Floyd manifestation for sure. The rest of the side of the album I'm not a big fan of. Hey Hey, Is There Anybody Out There? I don't mind those 2 tracks. Actually, it's Hey You, not Hey Hey, sorry. But it's not a bad side of the album. I would cut some of the stuff out of here and maybe get this down to like a 2-sided album. Then maybe I would have appreciated it more. But you can't change it. If you change any aspect of the album, you break down the story, and then there's no point to doing the album. So I get it. The last side of the album, I also have a strong liking for the song Run Like Hell, which I think a lot of people do. This is a very strong Pink Floyd song. I think it's one of their best. And definitely kind of a heavier tune too. I really like the guitar part in here by David Gilmour. This album is very Floyd sounding. And I know I've heard people say that this is a Roger Waters solo album. Well, yes, he wrote all the lyrics and he arranged it and had a lot of say. He was almost tyrannical in his control of this album, but it's still a good album. I will now go on record saying this is a good album. Is it as great as people make it out to? I still don't think that might change too, but for today, I think it deserves to be on this list for sure. At some point, it might be on a similar list much higher up. There's 3, like I said, Mother, Comfortably Numb, Run Like Hell, all great tracks, all among my favorite Floyd tracks. So how can you say you hate an album but have 3 favorite tracks off of it? It's kind of, what's the word they say? It's kind of a misnomer or an oxymoron or something like that. It's just not possible. It can't happen. So for today, Pink Floyd's The Wall, Day 25, coming on the list. So I hope you enjoyed this episode of my series, and we'll continue to come and watch it. We've got more good stuff to come. please, if you have any comments about Pink Floyd or about The Wall or about anything I've said, please put them in the comments section below. Please hit the like button, it's much appreciated, and the subscription button so that you don't miss any of this content. You can hit the bell if you want to be signaled when it's time for this to come out. And we will see you again tomorrow for day 24 of my favorite rock albums from 1979. Take care.